They told you Roman Reigns was untouchable. They told you the tribal chief runs this company. That nobody has the guts, the nerve, or the stomach to step to Roman Reigns when the cameras go dark and the crowd goes home. They lied to you. Because last night, after Monday Night Raw went off the air, after the lights dimmed and the arena emptied out, CM Punk walked down a hallway that Roman Reigns thought was his hallway, and he left that man broken, bloodied, humiliated, lying on the cold concrete floor backstage, staring up at the ceiling alone. And the most terrifying part? Punk wasn't even angry when he did it. He was calm. Stay right here because what I'm about to tell you is going to make your blood boil. And if you're a Roman Reigns fan, you might want to sit down. This one is going to hurt. Pause. Let it breathe. Then build. Part 1, the night that changed everything. Let's set the scene. Monday Night Raw just wrapped. The roster is backstage. Everybody's in wind-down mode, trainers, road agents, producers moving through the hallways. It's that window after a show where guys are real, where the characters come off, the gear comes off, and what's left is just the man. Roman Reigns had just finished what most people would call a dominant night. Whether you love him or hate him, and trust me, by the end of this video you're going to feel something very specific. Roman walked into that building like he owned it. Because in his mind, he does. He always has. The bloodline narrative has given Roman a kind of untouchable aura over the last several years that very few performers in the history of this business have ever had. When Roman walks into a room, people move. When Roman speaks, people listen. When Roman walks down a hallway, people step aside. Except one person. CM Punk doesn't step aside for anybody. Never has. Not for Vince McMahon, not for Triple H, not for the fans, not for the booking sheet, and certainly not for Roman Reigns. And that collision? That was always inevitable. Everybody in the locker room knew it. The agents knew it. The producers knew it. The cameras knew it. This was always going to happen. The only question was when. The answer was last night. Part 2, what actually happened backstage. Okay. I need you to understand something before I walk you through this. What happened backstage after Raw was not a scripted segment. This was not a planned confrontation that WWE camera crews were positioned to capture. This was not a moment that was designed to go viral. This was real. And that's exactly why it's so terrifying. CM Punk, by all accounts, had been stewing. If you watched Raw closely, and I mean closely, you could see it. Watch his face during the segments. Watch how he carries himself in the gorilla position. Watch the way his jaw tightens when certain names come up. The man was building towards something all night, like a pressure cooker that nobody bothered to turn off. Roman, for his part, was doing what Roman does. Walking with his people. Talking with his people. Moving through the backstage corridors with that measured, deliberate pace that screams, I am above all of this. The tribal chief energy doesn't stop when the show ends. For Roman Reigns, being Roman Reigns is a 24/7 occupation. And then their paths crossed. Now, and I want to be very careful here, accounts differ on who said what first. But here's what the people who were there have told us. Here's what the sources close to both men are saying. And here's what the footage, yes, there is backstage footage, and yes, we're going to talk about that, appears to show. Words were exchanged. Sharp words. The kind of words that don't get forgotten. The kind of words that cross a line that two men with this much pride, this much history, and this much at stake don't come back from easily. And CM Punk Philip Jack Brooks from Chicago, Illinois decided that words weren't enough. He put his hands on Roman Reigns. Not a shove. Not a push. Not a get out of my face moment. He went after Roman Reigns with the kind of focused, calculated violence that made CM Punk one of the most dangerous men on this roster the moment he walked back through that door. By the time it was broken up, and it took several people to break it up, Roman Reigns was on the floor. Not standing. Not squaring up. On the floor. And the look on his face wasn't rage. It was shock. Because Roman Reigns had forgotten, or maybe he just never truly believed, that there is one man on this entire roster who does not fear him. One man who has never feared him. One man who looks at the tribal chief and sees nothing more than a guy with a title and a spotlight and an ego the size of a football stadium. CM Punk looked at Roman Reigns last night and saw a target. Part 3, why this moment matters more than anything in WWE right now. I need you to understand the magnitude of what happened. Roman Reigns built his entire mystique, his entire character, his entire legacy over the past several years on the idea that he is the final boss. The head of the table. The one who makes the rules and decides who eats and who starves in WWE. That mystique just took the most significant hit it has ever taken. Because it's one thing for Roman to get beaten in a match. That can be explained away. That can be booked around. That can be framed as strategy, as a temporary setback, as the tribal chief allowing someone a moment before he takes everything back. You cannot book your way out of being left broken on a backstage floor. You cannot spin that. You cannot reframe it. It happened. People saw it. And now every single person in that locker room, every hungry young star, every veteran who's been holding his tongue, every tag team who's been waiting for the throne to wobble, they all saw it too. Punk didn't just attack Roman Reigns last night. He sent a message to the entire WWE roster. The tribal chief bleeds. The tribal chief falls. And I'm the one who proved it. Part 4, The Fallout, and it is nuclear. Let's talk about what happens next. Because this doesn't end here. This is not a moment that gets smoothed over at a talent meeting on Tuesday morning. This is not something that Triple H calls a miscommunication and moves on from. This is a war. Roman Reigns does not absorb disrespect. That is fundamentally incompatible with who Roman Reigns is, both as a character and, by all accounts, as a human being. The man has worked for years to build something. A legacy. A reputation. A level of respect inside that building that takes most performers an entire career to even approach. CM Punk just spat on all of it. And Punk knew exactly what he was doing. This is not a man who acts impulsively. You don't survive everything CM Punk has survived: the walkout, the UFC experiment, the injuries, the returns, the backstage politics, the public wars, by being impulsive. Punk is a chess player. Every move is calculated. Every action has a purpose. He chose to do this now. He chose to do this here. He chose to do this after Raw, Backstage, where it would spread through the locker room like wildfire before WWE even had a chance to control the narrative. That is not an accident. That is a strategy. And Roman Reigns, make no mistake, is going to respond. The question is how. Does he respond on camera, through the proper WWE channels, in a way that his team can package and present and control? Or does he respond the way men with this much pride respond when they've been humiliated, raw, unfiltered, and personal? Either way, the next time these two men are in the same building, the air is going to be different. Everyone in that locker room is going to feel it. And if you think what happened backstage after Raw was intense, you haven't seen anything yet. Part 5, what this means for you, the fan. Here's why I'm fired up. Here's why I need you to share this video right now. Here's why I need you to drop a comment below and tell me what you think. WWE has been crying out for a moment like this. We have been starving for something that feels real. Something that cuts through the scripted promos and the carefully managed social media posts and the PR-approved backstage segments. Something that reminds us why we fell in love with this business in the first place, because at its best, pro wrestling taps into something primal. Something that makes your chest tight and your palms sweat. CM Punk just gave us that moment. He walked down a hallway after Raw and made professional wrestling matter again. He reminded us that underneath all the production and the pyro and the premium live events and the streaming deals, there are real people with real animosity, and sometimes that animosity spills out of the frame. And Roman Reigns, the man who has defined this era of WWE, is now going to have to rebuild something he's never had to rebuild before. His invincibility. Closing intense and direct. So here's where we are. CM Punk, a man who has been called a troublemaker, a rebel, a cancer in the locker room by some, and a truth teller, a visionary, the best in the world by others, walked up to the most powerful man in WWE last night and proved a point with his hands. Roman Reigns, broken, on the floor, surrounded by people who just witnessed the unthinkable, now has a choice to make. And every single one of us gets to watch what happens next. Drop a comment right now. I want to know, are you Team Punk on this one? Or do you think Roman deserved better? Do you think WWE handles this on screen, or does this go somewhere darker? And if you're new here, welcome to Ring Rumble 1. We cover the moments that matter. We don't sugarcoat. We don't protect anybody. We tell you exactly what's happening inside WWE even when the cameras are off. Hit subscribe. Ring that bell. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know. Because this story is just getting started. And trust me, you do not want to miss what comes next.